So I'll be flying out this year, y'all. I got weddings. I got stuff in DC, in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, North Carolina, Mexico, Jamaica, and obviously Chicago. But these are just some very critical things that you need to keep in mind when you're shooting a wedding. Please don't do this. So I have 5 things that you should not do when shooting a wedding, and there's a ton more. I'll be honest with you, there's a ton more that I could have added to this list, but I'm gonna include the 5 essential things, at least that are essential and vital to me, that I think everyone should follow as pretty much a blueprint. So the first thing I want to talk about is not bringing backups. It is so important for you to have more than one camera. Can it be done with just one camera? Absolutely. You can buy a camera through any price range that can get the job done, certainly. However, you don't want to just rely on technology. I've had a camera one time during a wedding, it completely went out. So I am currently at a wedding. It's about to start in like less than 5 minutes. So I have to hurry up and rush to get in front. But I just want to let you all know that this is why you have more than one camera at a wedding. This camera right here has completely malfunctioned on me. It's an error with the cards that I put in, and every card that I put in, it malfunctions. So this is why I come with more than one camera. So this is my lead camera. This was my backup. But I had to go to my car and use this one, which is a backup for my backup. There you have it. Never shoot a wedding with just one camera. I can recall a time where I was shooting an engagement session and my camera overheated. And at the time, I didn't even know what overheating cameras was. I didn't know that was even a possibility. But the fact of the matter was, it was hot outside. I had my camera out. I'm taking pictures like crazy. And my camera said, okay, you know what? This is enough. I need to rest. And it just shut off. And so luckily for me, I had a second camera and I can go forth and continue and complete the session while the other camera, I guess, kind of cooled down. So it's very important to have more than one camera during a wedding day. You definitely want to make sure you have backups, but not just backup cameras, but backup in terms of batteries as well, and backup cards, because you just never know what can happen at such a pivotal moment, such an important moment, such as a wedding day. One of the other things that I feel is just like, I used to be one to just spray and pray. When you just kind of hold your finger on the shutter button and you just take a bunch of pictures, even during a portrait session, even when people aren't moving, you just kind of take tons and tons of the same photo. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because it's natural for us to have, a sense of anxiety during moments of candid moments during a wedding, and for us to just kind of leave our finger on the shutter button and just take a bunch of photos. But I'm gonna tell you the reason why that's not such a good idea. I didn't really realize this until recently, the last few years, that you're actually putting your camera through a lot of work. And when you do that, cameras are electronics and they tend to go out at a certain point. After a few years, or maybe even a longer duration than just a few, cameras tend to start to malfunction. And when you are putting your camera through the paces, when you are just kind of holding the shutter button, adding all of those shutter clicks to your camera, it's almost like a car in mileage. You don't really want to run up the shutter on your camera, the shutter count. That's very important. And throughout the years, if you're shooting weddings as much as I am, if you're going places and you're shooting weddings and you're just kind of putting your camera through a lot of work, your camera will eventually fail. It's just really important to be composed and be calm and set up the shot and then just capture it. Now, there's nothing wrong with taking a few frames, absolutely. But to take 50, 20 frames is just kind of, don't do that. The third thing that you should not do, please don't go to the wedding and not be prepared for the wedding, not understand who the couple is, not know what the venue looks like, not have done any research or communicated anything to the client in regards to what they want, their expectations, and what you can deliver. Now, I will say this. In the beginning stages of me being a wedding photographer, I did not do that part well at all. I would book a couple. I would get all the firm details such as the time, the address, how long I'm gonna be there, and I would show up and shoot. And that's really not a good way to shoot a wedding, because you can't really walk into a wedding like it's a regular event, because it's not. There's so many other intricate details and so many other factors that you have to consider when shooting a wedding. So always come prepared. Sometimes you may even want to look at the venue in person. Oftentimes couples have wedding rehearsals, and it's just a very good time to meet the wedding party, to also meet the planner in person if you haven't done so beforehand, and get accustomed to the space and how the flow in the day will essentially run. So it's very important to come prepared for the wedding, to even have a checklist or a shot list of things that you need to get. But just showing up to the wedding with a camera and a lens and a flash is just, go sit down, please just stop. Okay, so now the fourth thing I want to tell you, and I really want to come here, I really want to say this. Please do not overcomplicate things by bringing and using multiple lenses throughout the wedding day. That's it. Be settled on a focal length. It's very important. You don't want to complicate things or make things confusing for yourself, especially in kind of high pressure moments. When there's a first look or when the bride is walking down the aisle, just kind of be settled on what lens you're going to use in each scenario. It will just make things run so much smoothly for you, and it will make the gallery of photos look more cohesive. I really do enjoy the fact that people can shoot a wedding with one lens. I'm not there yet. I'm gonna be honest. I can't quite do that. Like, that's not anything that I've been blessed with the luxury of knowing how to do. But I will tell you this. I have got to a point where I try to bring just the bare essentials and maybe a specialty lens, or event photography lenses such as 24-70, 70-200, and then a portrait lens that I would use primarily for the family portraits and the couple portraits. And that's it. So just be in a mindset that less could actually work in your favor, and sometimes you don't need to bring every lens. It actually looks very weird if you are shooting the wedding while everyone is walking down the aisle, the wedding party that is, and you're on a 50, and then when the bride comes down, you change to another focal length. Or the same thing with reception coverage, shooting with 3 different lenses, 3 different focal lengths. It's okay if you have a second shooter on one focal length and you're shooting primarily on another. That's cool. Or even if you're switching back and forth between 2 focal lengths that kind of match, like the 35 and the 85. There's no problem there. However, you really want to make sure that, again, the photos are cohesive, everything kind of comes together like a puzzle, and sometimes shooting things too wide and then too close or zoomed in, it just kind of looks odd. So keep that in mind. So you know what's crazy? I just realized that my lamp behind me is not on, and now I'm like semi-mad. I'm still gonna continue with the video, but as we take this break, please subscribe to the channel. A lot of work goes into the channel, a lot of effort goes into the channel. You should be a part of the channel. So make sure to subscribe, like the video, comment, share. Cool. Okay, so now that the light is on and we got through a lot of the different things that you should not do when you're shooting a wedding, let's get to number 1. I think the number 1 thing is do not just stand there and let things happen and you have no control over the wedding. It's very important for you to control the tempo of the wedding. You are the photographer. You are the person who, everyone's gonna rely on for a lot of moments being captured. Even if there's a videographer, guess what? Oftentimes the videographer looks toward you when it comes to poses and locations and things like that, because the photos are important. They're a very, very big deal. Photographs last forever. They will outlast all of us. And if you just sit back being super passive and things are just kind of happening and people don't know what to do and you're just kind of just there, I can guarantee you probably won't be a wedding photographer for too much longer, because word of mouth will go around that you didn't know what you were doing, and that you didn't know how to pose, or that you didn't know how to do this or do that. So I would say to be a lot more assertive. And early on, it was very difficult for me when I was a photographer during the early stages of my career, mainly because I am naturally an introvert. Now, I can be extroverted. It just really depends. But I would say at times like that, I can kind of come into a shell of myself and be a little bit more introverted than I am extroverted. However, you have to fight that. There are moments that you are responsible for, and you have to be assertive. You have to articulate clearly, communicate in a manner that you can kind of demand the attention of the entire wedding party. There were situations that I've been in where I've taken photos of like a couple in front of me, and I knew it wasn't good. Maybe it was too overexposed or too underexposed, but I was just like, I don't want to say anything. I don't want them to feel as though I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't want to bother them again and say, can I get another one? And you really have to fight that. Like, it's an internal conflict that you have to overcome and understand that you are the expert. This is the wedding you are shooting. You are responsible for this. And for the most part, people will believe whatever you show them. If you show them that you're passive and you're shy and you're soft-spoken and you are not willing to step in and take control of a moment that needs control, then they will give off that same energy. But if you show up as a professional, as a subject matter expert, as someone who's been doing this for years, a pro in every sense of the word, then they will put trust in you and believe in you, and it'll be a lot easier for you to kind of control the tempo of a wedding. But again, I just want to thank you all. The channel's been growing, y'all. The channel has been growing. Appreciate y'all for supporting the channel. If you haven't already, show some love to the channel, and catch me on the next video.